Sparky the spunky squirrel stood proudly in the sunny park, his gray fur glowing. He stared at a colorful pile of blocks stacked like a rainbow treasure. "I'm going to build the tallest tower ever," he said, puffing out his chest like a champion. The grass swayed gently around him, almost like it was cheering for his big plan. Sparky rubbed his paws together and imagined the tower stretching high into the clouds. A bird chirped nearby, as if to say, "Good luck, little squirrel." He tapped the first block with his paw, testing its balance. The bright red surface reflected the sunlight, making it look even more impressive. Sparky grinned wide, ready for the challenge ahead. He didn't notice that the blocks already looked slightly wobbly, like they were plotting a funny surprise. Bella the brave bunny hopped quickly across the park, his green shirt flapping in the breeze. "Need a hand, Sparky?" he asked with a wide grin that made his long ears twitch. Sparky nodded eagerly, already placing the first block onto the grass. The block wobbled like jelly on a plate, making them both lean forward nervously. Bella crouched low, studying the stack like a scientist checking an experiment. "We'll have this tower reaching the moon," Bella said, puffing his cheeks for fun. Sparky laughed and grabbed another block, his tail flicking with excitement. The two friends worked side by side, their shadows stretching across the sunny park. Neither noticed that the tower already seemed to lean like it was tired, waiting for the first chance to tumble. The blocks leaned to one side, like sleepy trees on a windy hill. Bella chuckled, pointing at the crooked stack. "They look like they're taking a nap," he joked, his voice playful. Sparky squinted hard, tilting his head as if sheer determination could straighten the tower. "Wake up, blocks," Sparky said, tapping the side gently. One block wiggled in place, almost answering him with a tiny shimmy. Bella laughed, his green shirt catching a burst of sunlight. "Maybe they need bunny motivation," he said, pretending to give a pep talk to the tower. Sparky smirked, but kept stacking, convinced his next move would fix everything. The breeze swirled through the park, as if testing their wobbly construction. Somewhere, a squirrel's dream of a tall tower was hanging by a shaky edge. From behind a leafy bush, Twitchy the tricky fox peeked out, her curly blonde hair sparkling in the sunlight. "What's all this?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity and mischief. Bella leaned toward her, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. "Tower building championship. Sort of," he whispered with a grin. Sparky gave a proud nod, adjusting the green vest he always wore. Twitchy tilted her head, watching the blocks sway like dancers at a party. "Looks like a tower with stage fright," she teased. Bella chuckled softly, but Sparky narrowed his eyes in playful defiance. "It'll be the tallest tower in park history," he declared. Twitchy's smile grew, hinting at ideas that might not be entirely helpful. The breeze carried her giggle across the grass, like a warning of incoming antics. Sparky balanced a bright yellow block on top of the stack, his paws trembling. It slid off suddenly and bonked his paw with a soft thud. "Ow! Guess it's a blockhead move," he said, shaking his paw dramatically. Bella burst into laughter so hard that his ears flopped forward and he nearly dropped another block. "Careful, or we'll have a pancake tower," Bella said through giggles. Sparky gave an exaggerated salute, promising to be more careful. The tower seemed to wobble in agreement, swaying under the weight of its new pieces. A small bird landed nearby, tilting its head at the sight of their construction. "Even the bird looks worried," Sparky said, making Bella laugh even harder. The park was filling with the sound of their silly determination. Twitchy stepped closer, her paws held up like she was sneaking into a secret mission. She leaned toward the tower and let out a playful, exaggerated sneeze. "Achoo!" she giggled. The top block tipped dangerously, sliding halfway off before stopping. Sparky's eyes went wide. "Foxtrot fail," he muttered, holding the block still with both paws. Bella snorted with laughter, nearly losing his grip on another block. "Was that sneeze on purpose?" Bella asked, raising an eyebrow. Twitchy shrugged innocently, her curly hair bouncing. "Who knows?" she said, clearly enjoying the suspense. The tower swayed like it was deciding whether to fall right now or wait for a better comedic moment. Sparky sighed but smiled, knowing Twitchy's tricks were far from over. Bella stepped back and studied the leaning stack with serious eyes. "Okay, we need a plan," he said, ears twitching. Sparky tapped his chin like a detective solving a mystery. "Step 1, make it straight," he announced. The tower leaned toward Bella as if listening in. Bella straightened the lower blocks carefully, making sure each side matched. "Step 2, no more fox sneezes," Bella added, glancing at Twitchy. She grinned, not promising anything. Sparky nodded firmly, tail flicking in determination. The breeze ruffled their fur as they stood around the crooked tower, plotting its transformation. The blocks seemed to hum with anticipation, ready for their next attempt. This wasn't just tower building anymore. It felt like a mission for block glory. They decided the biggest blocks should be placed at the bottom to make the base strong. "Big blocks first, small ones later," Bella instructed, like a coach giving orders. Sparky saluted dramatically, as if he were in a squirrel army. He grabbed the largest blue block and slid it into place. The tower instantly looked less wobbly, almost proud of its new foundation. "It's like giving the tower big shoes," Sparky joked, making Bella snort with laughter. Twitchy watched from the side, tapping her chin as if planning her next trick. The park sunlight warmed their backs as they worked. The grass beneath the tower felt steady, and for the first time, the stack stood upright. Sparky's eyes gleamed at the thought of reaching for the sky. Twitchy decided to join in but made a show of it. She tiptoed around the tower, her steps exaggerated like a dancer sneaking past a sleeping dragon. Suddenly, she tripped over a stick hidden in the grass. The tower wobbled wildly, swaying like jelly on a plate. "Oops," she said, her mischievous grin returning. Sparky darted forward, paws ready to catch falling blocks. Bella's ears shot up, eyes wide at the near disaster. "You almost turned it into modern rubble," Bella teased. Twitchy shrugged, pretending she meant to test its balance. The blocks settled back in place with a faint clunk. Sparky sighed in relief, but kept one paw near the stack, just in case Twitchy's feet had more surprises planned. Sparky steadied the blocks with both paws, his tail flicking in warning. "No more fox tricks," he said, half smiling but clearly cautious. Twitchy crossed her heart dramatically, but her eyes sparkled with hidden plans. Bella stood beside Sparky, guarding the tower like a knight protecting a castle. The blocks seemed calmer now, standing tall in the warm sunlight. "It's like babysitting bricks," Sparky muttered, making Bella laugh. Twitchy tilted her head innocently, pretending to admire their work. The grass rustled softly around them, as if it too was holding its breath. Sparky knew better than to trust that sparkle in Twitchy's eyes. Mischief was her middle name, and the tower was just too tempting for her to ignore. Bella leaned forward and placed a bright red block carefully on top. "This is teamwork," he said proudly, stepping back to admire their progress. Sparky grinned and replied, "Teamwork makes the dream tower work." Bella chuckled, his ears twitching happily at the rhyme. The tower swayed slightly, but stayed upright, looking almost confident. Twitchy clapped slowly, her grin wide. "I'll admit, that's impressive," she said, though her tone carried a hint of playful challenge. Sparky puffed out his chest again, feeling like they were unstoppable. The breeze swirled through the park, carrying the scent of fresh grass and excitement. Bella's paws rested on his knees as he studied the stack. They were building more than blocks. They were stacking up friendship and fun. Twitchy decided to help, but her method was unusual. She slid a block right into the middle of the tower instead of stacking it on top. The whole structure shivered like it had just heard a scary story. Bella's eyes went wide, and he held his breath. "That's creative," Bella said carefully, resisting the urge to grab it back. Sparky tilted his head, unsure if he should laugh or panic. Twitchy grinned, clearly pleased with her unconventional technique. The tower managed to stay upright, though it looked confused. "It's like a block sandwich," Sparky joked, making Bella snort softly. The sunlight glinted off the uneven stack, which now had a strange charm. Even wobbles could be part of the design. Maybe? A sudden gust of wind whooshed through the park, ruffling fur and making leaves dance. The top block wobbled once, twice, then tumbled off in a dramatic spin. "Nature's demolition crew," Sparky said, sprinting after the runaway block. Bella hopped quickly, trying to keep it from rolling into the pond nearby. Twitchy covered her mouth, pretending to gasp at the chaos. The block bounced over a patch of grass and headed for a clump of daisies. Sparky leapt forward, paws outstretched, but missed by an inch. Bella's green shirt flashed in the sunlight as he chased the block. The wind seemed to laugh at them, swirling playfully. Their tower stood shorter now, almost relieved to have lost a little weight. Bella lunged forward and caught the block just before it rolled into the daisies. "Got it," he said, holding it high like a trophy. Sparky clapped his paws together in celebration. He took a step toward Bella, only to trip over a small pebble hidden in the grass. "Whoa!" Sparky yelped, tumbling onto his tail. Twitchy burst into laughter, clutching her sides. Bella grinned, helping Sparky back onto his feet. "That pebble had it out for me," Sparky said, brushing off his vest. The park echoed with their laughter, bright and warm. The block was safe, and so was their friendship. Even small stumbles seemed to make the day more fun. Twitchy picked up a block and placed it sideways on the stack. "It's modern art," she said with a flourish. Bella tilted his head, studying the unusual placement. "More like modern fall apart," he replied, earning a giggle from Sparky. The tower now looked like it was bending in 3 different directions at once. "It's got personality," Twitchy insisted, stepping back to admire her work. Sparky shrugged, deciding it wasn't worth arguing about style. Bella reached for another block, determined to steer the design back toward stability. The grass swayed gently, as if the park itself was curious about their strange creation. It was becoming less of a tower and more of a comedy sculpture. The tower finally reached halfway up to Sparky's height, which made him puff out his chest. "We're getting somewhere," he said proudly, tail flicking in satisfaction. Twitchy leaned in and whispered, "Somewhere. Probably the ground." Bella chuckled, adjusting a block that seemed ready to leap off. The sunlight caught the colorful stack, making it look like a patchwork rainbow. "It's still taller than our last attempt," Bella pointed out. Sparky nodded, determined to keep going despite the fox's teasing. The tower swayed slightly, as if deciding whether to believe in itself. The three friends stood around it like guardians of a very silly treasure. Even halfway tall felt like a small victory. Bella crouched low and steadied the base with both paws. "No more shaky starts," he said firmly. Sparky winked at him and replied, "I'll be the block boss." Twitchy rolled her eyes playfully, but stayed quiet for now. The tower seemed to stand straighter, with Bella's careful touch. "It's like giving it a pep talk," Sparky said, patting the side. Bella grinned and reached for another block, moving slowly to keep balance. The breeze was light, carrying the sound of their laughter across the park. Even Twitchy's tail stayed still, as if respecting the serious moment. They were finally building with more care than chaos. Twitchy hopped back from the tower and suddenly began cheering. "Give me a B for block," she shouted, making Bella laugh. Sparky smirked and kept stacking, pretending not to be distracted. "Give me an L for leaning," Twitchy added, pointing at the slight tilt. The tower swayed like it was dancing to her cheer. Bella steadied it quickly, chuckling. "You're going to cheer it right over," he said. Twitchy twirled around, her curly hair bouncing. Sparky shook his head but couldn't hide his grin. The warm sunlight made the colors of the blocks glow brighter. Even the tower seemed to enjoy the attention, wobbling happily. Suddenly, Twitchy's fluffy tail brushed against the side of the tower. The whole stack collapsed in a noisy crash, blocks bouncing everywhere. "Tower down," Sparky announced dramatically, throwing his paws into the air. Bella's ears shot up at the sound. Then he burst into laughter. Twitchy covered her mouth, eyes wide but sparkling with mischief. "Guess my tail wanted to join," she said. Sparky grinned, shaking his head in mock defeat. The colorful blocks scattered across the grass like candy after a piñata smash. The park seemed to pause for a moment. Then a bird chirped loudly, as if to mark the event. Their ambitious tower was now just a cheerful mess. Bella sat down on the soft grass, still laughing. "That's the loudest tower I've ever heard," he said between giggles. Twitchy grinned, leaning back on her paws. "Block party time," she declared, raising a block like a party flag. Sparky chuckled, picking up a piece and tapping it like a drum. Bella joined in, making silly rhythms with two small blocks. The sun shone warmly on their playful gathering. The collapse no longer felt like a failure. It felt like an invitation to have fun. Even the breeze seemed to join in, rustling through the grass like applause. Their tower might be gone, but their laughter was standing tall. The three friends began stacking blocks again, this time with more giggles than groans. "It's a comedy construction," Sparky said, balancing a block with exaggerated care. Bella added, "And we're the clowns," making Twitchy laugh. They moved more slowly, but not without playful chatter. The tower grew in uneven bursts, each new piece placed with dramatic flair. Sparky pretended to polish one block before adding it. Bella hummed a silly tune as he worked. Twitchy made faces at the tower like she was daring it to wobble. The park felt alive with their energy, the grass dotted with colorful blocks. They were building something more than just a structure. They were building a memory. Twitchy placed a block carefully on top, then balanced it on her head instead. "I'm queen of the tower," she declared with a regal pose. Sparky bowed deeply, pretending to kneel before her. Bella rolled his eyes but smiled, adjusting a block at the base. "Your Majesty, the tower needs your royal touch," Bella said in a mock-serious tone. Twitchy giggled and returned the block to the stack. The tower swayed slightly, but held. Sparky clapped his paws together, impressed. The sunlight glinted off the colorful pieces, making them look even more majestic. For a moment, their silly game felt like a grand ceremony in the park. Bella slid a block into place with steady paws, making sure it didn't wobble. "That's perfect," Sparky said, eyes bright with approval. "We should patent this," he added, puffing his chest. Twitchy laughed, imagining a tower with its own official seal. "Patent pending," she said, tapping the side of the stack. The tower stood taller now, looking proud of its new block. Bella stepped back to admire their progress, ears twitching in satisfaction. The warm breeze carried the scent of grass and sunshine. Sparky gave Bella a thumbs up, ready for the next move. They were finally finding a rhythm that worked. The tower grew until it was taller than Bella's long ears. "It's officially bunny high," Bella said proudly, measuring with his paws. Twitchy leaned in and pretended to use a ruler. "Almost fox high," she added with a wink. Sparky stepped back, admiring the colorful stack against the bright sky. The blocks looked like a patchwork quilt in vertical form. Bella adjusted one at the top to keep it steady. The grass around them swayed gently, like it was applauding. Sparky grinned, tail flicking in triumph. They were getting close to finishing, and the tower looked happier with every block. Sparky climbed onto his tiptoes and carefully balanced the final block on top. He held his breath, eyes wide with concentration. "Steady," he whispered, as if speaking to the block itself. Bella gave him a thumbs up, standing ready to catch it if needed. The tower seemed to pause, deciding whether to stay or fall. Sparky's paws trembled, but the block stayed in place. Twitchy leaned forward, watching with a smirk. "That's some high-stakes stacking," she said. The sunlight bathed the finished tower in a golden glow. For the first time all day, they stood in quiet admiration. The tower leaned slightly to one side, but it stayed standing. "It's a leaning tower of parka," Twitchy joked, making everyone burst into laughter. Bella shook his head but smiled, adjusting his shirt. Sparky tapped the side gently, as if to thank it for staying upright. The colorful blocks caught the light, showing off their mismatched charm. "It's not perfect, but it's ours," Bella said warmly. The breeze swirled around them, carrying their laughter across the park. Even the tower seemed to enjoy its silly nickname. They stepped back together, paws and ears high with pride. "It's tall, creative, and slightly wobbly," Bella said, tilting his head. Sparky nodded in agreement, tail flicking happily. Twitchy grinned, her eyes sparkling in the sunlight. The tower's colorful patchwork stood out against the green grass. "It's like a rainbow skyscraper," Sparky added. Bella chuckled, knowing they'd worked hard for this moment. The warm air felt like a reward for their patience and teamwork. Even the park seemed quieter, as if admiring their achievement. Twitchy twirled gracefully around the tower, careful not to touch it. "Best blunder ever," she declared with a playful smile. Sparky grinned back, his green vest catching the sunlight. Bella crossed his arms, but couldn't hide his amusement. The tower stood proudly, leaning just enough to look unique. "And no foxtails near it," Sparky teased, making Twitchy laugh. The grass swayed gently, like it was dancing with her. Their silly, wobbly creation had become a monument to fun. Even the breeze seemed to agree with her declaration. Bella looked at his friends, his ears twitching in thought. "We turned a collapse into a celebration," he said with a smile. Sparky added, "And a block party," tossing a block lightly into the air. Twitchy caught it and bowed dramatically. The three of them laughed together, their voices ringing across the sunny park. The tower loomed nearby, colorful and crooked, but still standing. "We should make this a tradition," Bella suggested. Sparky nodded eagerly, already imagining their next build. The day felt brighter because of their teamwork. The three friends sat under the tower's shadow, sharing carrot sticks and nut snacks. Bella munched happily, while Sparky cracked a nut with his teeth. Twitchy balanced a carrot on her nose, making the others laugh. The park felt warm and peaceful, filled with the sound of their chatter. Above them, the wobbly tower stood proudly, a monument to teamwork and fun. Sparky looked up at it and grinned. "Not bad for a bunch of blockheads," he said. Bella chuckled, agreeing. The sunlight bathed them in gold as they enjoyed the simple joy of a day well spent.